Recording starting now, and if there are any questions, let me know. But what I mentioned before as well, you don't have to really follow me here, but attendance is crucial. And but if anyone is trying to follow, well, if you're fast enough, yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, you have 2 days to do that, but you need to understand what's going on, because that all in the exam or quiz, regarding this. So any questions can come from this lab diagrams, right? So make sure that you have that set up, and I've just put that in the announcement and in the email as well, that just try to send it this Sunday and onwards. The next Friday also, the coming Sunday would be the deadline, Sunday midnight 11:59. So I'll just go ahead now. So what we were doing in the lab, we talked about the availability or high availability in our lecture as well, and I'll just try to explain a little what we need to do.
Is there a way I can adjust his volume?
Okay, so adjust volumes from your laptop or desktop, or also from mute. I think you have to. Well, I'm also new to Zoom, so I have to also check around. So yeah, try to explore and check where the audio is. There's the audio if you can see my screen here. So try to check from here, or mute all, initial poll from here. Well, try to push some buttons, right? And there's the settings on the top right as well. So these are the 3 areas. Otherwise, it's your computer volume. Alright guys, so let's get going. And what we were talking about here, I am keeping an eye on the chat as well. So if there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we follow the same format, and that would be that we're just going to go for the lab that you need to understand, and then try to do it exactly. Now you're gonna get some more challenges here, so if you're trying to understand here, that would be good, because it's not easy onwards how we do the lab. You need to have a lot of patience. We learn a lot of patience anyway in this course, so this is maybe the peak of it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and try to paste that picture. Okay, it's not pasting for some reason, so I'm just gonna quickly create. What we have is 3 machines here, and those 3 machines have the first one is Windows, your first name Win, right, 01, and then other is EsxiAdded 01 and EsxiAdded 02. So far, hopefully you have upgraded your RAM, not your RAM, your laptop's RAM. And here, so my machine RAM here is 12 GB. I think we all agreed on that. And 4 GB RAM here. That's a must for a hypervisor. So so there's a question. Download moreram.com for my left side of. Okay, so the attacks are still going on. Okay, now let's go ahead, and there's so we are going to so we have a vCenter here, and here we have hypervisors. Now there we needed to also create SAN or software SAN environment. We were not able to do that because of the speed, need for speed, 7, no, 6. Okay, so we needed our machines to be fast and furious, so that's why we needed to have a need for speed. Okay, maybe boring jokes. So what we need to do further is, this is what we achieved here. vCenter is installed, we logged in. Your last screenshots were that you were successfully logged in, and others have all submitted that as well. So if I go to my machine and it does not give me any okay, so any errors, then this is what your screen should look like when you start this lab now. And okay, so guys, this chat is for asking questions. You can do private chat if you want. This is being I need to report that as well. Whoever is passing some comments that are not supposed to be in the class talked about. So please make sure that you're not using any words. Your name is coming here, so this is also disruptive for me as well. I thought that there was a question for me, so please try to not pass any comments, insulting comments to each other. Okay guys, so here we have a vCenter, and on that vCenter, if I right click here, I need to show the RAM. So settings are there, and processor is 2 for the Windows machine. Now when you start your lab, you need to check all this. Memory, how much you give, 12 GB, processor 2, and then my first network adapter is Virtualization 15, second one is NAT. And so I'm just going to show the configuration of the other machines which I didn't start yet. So that's 4 GB for EsxiAdded, well, 2, I'll just put 2 here and 1 here. So EsxiAdded 1 and 2, same configuration, 4 GB memory and 2 processors, 4 GB memory and 2 processors, right? So so that's vCenter needed to be installed first. Now what else we need to do? So there are 2 hypervisors there. If you go back to the diagram to understand, now these hypervisors need to be introduced to the vCenter, and these hypervisors need to be started for that. So when we do start, that's where you need to make sure that well, hopefully your laptops do support that. That's what I'm trying to say here. Now I can put 12 GB 4 GB here, but you can decrease to 10 GB RAM, or you can decrease even to 8 GB RAM here if you want to go further down. It's gonna be slower, but you will survive. So you cannot decrease the RAM here, because without 4 GB RAM and 2 processors, ESXi hypervisors will not work, right? So you cannot decrease RAM here, but you can decrease RAM for the vCenter. I put it 12 GB. We are overcommitting here already. So with a total of 16 GB RAM, if you have 12 and 4 and 4, so it's kind of okay to overcommit. Why? Because the ESXi's may not use that much RAM. Maybe they're using actually just 2 GB RAM, right? But you have given 4. Maybe it is vCenter is not using full 12 GB RAM, although you have given it. But maybe it uses for its regular working just 6 or 7 GB or 8 GB RAM, right? So if you overcommit now, whenever it does use full capacity of RAM, then yeah, we're in trouble. But normally we're gonna do just those operations where hopefully it's not, the RAM is not fully required, right? So we still need to pull this off with 3 machines and a beast called vCenter. So you can play with the RAM of vCenter, but not with ESXi. You can't do that. So let's go ahead, and what we need to further do here is we need to introduce a SAN, a software SAN in our case, and that would be we are going to, or I'll be introducing 2 disks here, and these 2 disks will be local disks here, and then these disks will be provided as shared disks or LUNs for both EsxiAdded 1 and EsxiAdded 2 hypervisors. So this one disk will be SAN disk, which means storage area network, and this disk will be provided to both EsxiAI1, EsxiAI2. This disk will be provided to both EsxiAI1 and EsxiAI2, right? In production environments, that's how it is normally. In you have to provide those disks from SAN. There, large companies have SAN from NetApp or Dell or HP or any other brand, but and they are like $50,000 solution up to 100,000, 200, 500,000 even, or $1 million for big banks and governments. They purchase the SAN solution. So we're going for a software SAN here just to get a hang of how SAN is deployed in a virtual environment, and a virtual environment cannot survive actually without a SAN environment. So I'm going to be so these disks will be showing here when these shared disks over the network are actually shared with the hypervisors. They are called LUNs. So this would be LUN 0. They start with 0 in numbering. Logical unit number, or LUN. So this is LUN 0 and this would be LUN 1. And there is that, I may have mentioned that before, logical unit number. Okay. And what we need to do here is that we need to exactly create two disks. We need to format the two disks locally. Then we need to install a software called EsxiAdded. And what this software does is that it converts the disks which are local to shared disks over the network to whichever machines you want to share it with. So if you have the EsxiAdded software in your Windows, which we all have, so we're going to install that software, and we're going to simply convert the local disks to EsxiAdded disks, right? So that's what we and why are we doing that? Because later we're going to introduce EsxiAI1 hypervisor to vCenter, EsxiAI2 hypervisor to vCenter, and through the vCenter we need to attach 1.0 to EsxiAI1, EsxiAI2, and LUN 1 to EsxiAI1, EsxiAI2. And why are we doing all that? Because later we need to create a virtual machine. That virtual machine, all its files, the virtual disk, the virtual memory, the snapshot file, everything will be created on top of this LUN. And what's the significance of that? A quick one for this. So if you want to migrate a machine, you can just migrate the machine from the memory of, or the RAM of EsxiAI1 to the RAM of EsxiAI2. But the disk of the machine, virtual disk of the machine, does not move. Why? That virtual disk is on a LUN which is connected to this hypervisor and this hypervisor, right? So if the virtual machine moves away, this is not a copy operation, it's a move operation. It's like a cut and paste operation. So virtual machine just simply moves from here to EsxiAI2, and when it reaches here, so it is still in contact with its disk from here. While it has gone from here now, so there's a cut over here, that's also within milliseconds, it's just connected again to the virtual disk from this EsxiAI2 instead of EsxiAI1. So that's the first thing that we get a benefit of if we attach SAN. Second is that you can create a partner machine here, and that partner machine is going to be an exec copy, and you can create its partner machine, which is with its virtual disk, on a separate LUN here. So this would be the active machine, and this can be the passive machine. So once we have active and passive machine here, so if the whole EsxiAI1 goes down, then the passive machine or standby machine will become active machine, right? So, and all the client connections will be connecting here, so there will be no downtime here. So because of these benefits here, that's why we need SAN. But basically the virtual environment cannot, well, in professional virtual environments, without SAN there is no productivity there. So the high availability and migration of virtual machines is only possible when you have SAN there, right? So storage area network, or SAN, has to be there. Now for that, I'm going to go to the Windows machine, and I'm going to create two disks here. I'm going to add two disks there. These disks could be 300 GB or 400 or 500, because it's a thin provision, so it's okay. But the disks, I'm just adding 300 GB because we have a local disk here which is 200 GB, just to make it different from there and to identify that these disks are for SAN and the local disk is just for that local vCenter and Windows machine. So I'm going to add two disks here, and then I'm going to convert it to iSCSI disks. And when we are converting, you have to just pay attention that these disks need to be converted to iSCSI, which means that these disks will be becoming shared disks over the network. So during that wizard, it will ask that, hey, this disk, who do you want to share it with, or which machines you want to share this disk with, right? So we will tell with the IP addresses here that EsxiAdded, EsxiAdded are the machines or their IPs. We will mention that please share this particular disk to these two hypervisors, and then we're going to go for the second disk, and we're going to tell the iSCSI wizard that please share this second disk also with the two hypervisors. So that's what I'm about to do. I just need to again check what were the IP addresses of all three. So if I go to the machine here, I will go to the Windows machine, and I'm going to go for server manager here, and local server, and then there is that 200.1 is the IP, 192.168.200.1 is the IP here. I also see that there's internet connection here, which we actually do not need. So we will cut that internet connection. I will go to this Ethernet one. Either you can remove it from here, settings of the machine, or you can just disable it from here, the second NIC. So I'm just going to click that and go for Ethernet 1, right click it and disable. So that's the first thing we did. We disabled it. I was here to check the IPs. I'm going to do that too. Well, I did that actually. It's 192.168.200.1, but then I realized that there is internet here. So just disable internet, second NIC, not the first NIC, the second NIC, right? So I'm just going to cancel that. So if I refresh here now, so we should be seeing here only Ethernet 0. So that's the first thing. And am I recording that? Yeah. Oh, my second screen is showing. Okay, guys. So the second thing would be I'll just check the IP configuration of this one as well. So it's 200.2. EsxiAdded is 200.2, and EsxiAdded is okay, obviously 200.3. So I'm just going to go to the diagram as well, and so in week 11, which is it is week 11, right? 27 March 2020. Okay, so here week 11, 27 March 2020, and what diagram I have created here. So I'll be just putting that here. So please do follow all the instructions in the video. Inserting picture. Hopefully your OneNote is going to pick it up, because internet also is terribly slow. Okay, there we go. So now on that OneNote, I'll just start putting some major steps there, and I'll try to quickly follow those. So there is that first is on your first name Win01, create a SAN, and the second step is then start both hypervisors and add them to vCenter. So I'll just go down. Wow, was I not writing it? Seriously, I was not. Okay, so on serious, your first name Win01, create SAN, then add both hypervisors to vCenter. That's the second major step. And the third is then create data stores on two LUNs. actually once you add that, add both RLs to vCenter, then create basic infrastructure in vCenter, and even that is coming before that. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you that, okay, this is the major step I'm doing and all the million steps there. So after creating basic infrastructure in vCenter, then add both hypervisors to vCenter, then we will simply connect SAN LUNs to both hypervisors from within vCenter. I'm going to explain all that. Create data stores onto LUNs, and hopefully we reach here by the time we're done. So create data stores on two LUNs, and then create data stores on two LUNs, and okay, so then create a VM on any one of the LUN based data stores, right? Okay, so these are the major steps, and I'm going for the first one here. So that would be that add two disks, 300 GB each, and format them. And second thing is install EsxiAdded from Windows control panel or add remove programs. Convert both new disks to EsxiAdded disks, right? So that's what we're going to do first. Let's do that, and then go for next. If there are any questions, let me know. And you have a deadline till this Sunday midnight to upload this, so you have enough time, hopefully. And I will try to put this video up as soon as possible. It takes 1 hour to render, and then I will upload. That processing also takes some time, so maybe 3 hours later after the class ends, you may have that video. Okay, so 3 hours or like so 4, 5, 6 hours, but you will have full Saturday and Sunday to do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to this to do those steps. So first of all, I need to check that how many disks I already have in the Windows machine. So I'm just gonna go for, or the vCenter machine, and I can see that I have 200 GB here, and I need to add two more disks, which are 300 GB each. Why 300? No particular reason. The only reason would be actually that I need to identify them as SAN disks. If I also put them 200, 200, it's going to be a little confusing. So I'm just going to click go to add here, and then go to hard disk, and then click next here. So SCSI is okay. Next, create a new virtual disk is okay. So guys, I'm going a little fast here to cover some of the major topics there, or points there that I put in the OneNote, and take it as a demo. If you're doing it with me, it's okay. If you can troubleshoot yourself, that's okay. Otherwise, you still have 2 days to finish the lab. Submitting today is not the deadline. So if I am going a bit fast, just try to understand what I'm doing, and if you have any questions regarding what I'm doing, you can ask. So I'm gonna click next here. It's create a new virtual disk, and then it's 300, and I'll put it single file. That's the only two changes on this page for specified disk capacity, and I'm gonna click next here, and that's the name of the disk. That is okay. We don't need to make any changes here, and click finish. So the first 300 GB disk is added. Then I'm gonna add the second. So there's a hard disk here. 22 attending, while there are some who did not. Okay. I will ask the management if those who did not attend online class, I don't see their names there, right? So would I be cutting their marks, or no favors at the end? Or management was saying, just tell them it's not, I need to report to them that who did not connect to online. So do tell your friends that if they're not connected online, it's a must to stay connected online. Otherwise, I will have to report that to management, and management is a bit strict now. I don't know what they will do, but I have to report whoever has not connected. Okay, so I'm just gonna click next here, and SCSI next, and then create a new virtual disk, and next 300 single file, and next. So I'm just adding a second disk here, and finish. And then so 2 disks have been added, 300 GB each. So I'm just gonna press OK here, right? So once that is pressed OK, I'm just gonna format those disks. So if we go back to the steps here, so add 2 disks and format them. So these steps, right? So I'm just gonna go back here and format them. So I'm gonna go to tools here, as we know already, and go to computer management here, tools, computer management, and then there's that disk management. So I need to first put these disks online here. They are offline, so right click, online. That's done. I'm going to go for second disk here, right click, online. Once both are online, then again I right click on the first one, initialize, but this will ask for the second disk also to be initialized, which is okay. So initialize, it's detecting, oh, 2 disks are online, so do you want them both to be initialized? Either GPT or MBR, it really doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna keep it, well, by default it's GPT, so if you select MBR it's okay, if you select GPT it's okay. I'm gonna press OK here, and I need to format both, but I'm gonna keep a naming convention here, right? So I'm gonna right click here and new simple volume. So I'm gonna go for new simple volume and click next, 300 GB, next, and E drive is there, next. So it would be so your first name, we can say L0. So that's the shared disk or LUN0, right? Your first name L0. So you can just put that name. Now this will be the area where you're gonna take your first screenshot, where you're creating your first, you're formatting your first disk for SAN. So disk 1 formatted, SAN disk 1 formatted. So I'm just gonna put that screenshot number 1 here. That is this, your first name here, and disk 1 formatted. So I'll just start putting those screenshot names here. So screenshot 1, you don't have to take it now, don't worry. We talked about it already, right? So but these screenshots I need. So screenshot 1, so disk, so SAN disk disk 1 formatted, although we are about to format. So it would be, you know what, I'll take a screenshot for you so you would know that what screenshots are needed exactly with your name. This is my name, right? So you need screenshots with your name, obviously. So that's your screenshot 1 here. On your OneNote, maybe it will be showing now. Yeah, so that's screenshot 1 here. And then if I click that, then this, then okay. And I'm using a browser-based OneNote, which is kind of not very user-friendly. So then it will be screenshot 2, and that is second. So SAN disk 2 formatted. At that time, I'm gonna take that screenshot. So I'm just going for this. Screenshot has been taken, and I'm gonna click next and finish. So this disk is being formatted or already formatted. I'm gonna go for I'll drag it up a little. Okay, I'll drag this up a little and go for this one. Right click, new simple volume here as well. Next here as well, 300 GB actually. Next, F drive is okay. Next, and we're going for your first name L1. So before it was the overall shared disk called LUN0, and this is LUN1. So this you need a screenshot for that as well. So I'm just going to grab this one as well, and you need that second screenshot here. It's so maybe on your side the screenshots are showing up after some time, and then screenshot 3. Well, I'll tell that. So these two screenshots done. Next, finish, and then this disk is formatted. Now what we need to do is actually convert them to iSCSI disks, which means that if you go to the diagram, so these disks have been locally formatted till now. So you need to convert them to iSCSI disks, which means that these disks can be shared over the network of once they are iSCSI disks. So we're gonna go for that process. You have to be very careful. Any one step wrong and you will miss it. All your next configurations will stop as well. So every step has to be exactly correct. Here I'm gonna click close here. So this same kind of lab is going on in Humber College as well as in NetPlus College. So other colleges, we have done exactly that in the laptops, and they're way ahead. So anyway, I'm just gonna go for tools here. Actually, not in tools. So in the Windows machine, you can go to file and storage services, right? So I'm gonna go to file and storage services. Why? Because I was looking for a service called iSCSI service. Now I don't see that service in this line here. So I need to add that iSCSI service, install it, and then come back here, right? So in order to do that, I'm gonna go to this dashboard, and then I'm gonna go to add remove programs, or add the roles there. So dashboard here, and add roles and features, this one. And then I'm gonna click next. Nothing here. Role based or feature based, next. Yes, it's the correct name. Next. And then I need to, in the roles, I need to go to file and storage services in the roles window. File and storage services here. Then I'm gonna expand that, and then there is file and iSCSI services. Expand that too. And so once you expand your file storage services, then iSCSI, then we go down to iSCSI target server, this one, iSCSI target server. So I'm just gonna click here. It's gonna pop up with, you need these features as well. I say yes, add features, and iSCSI target server is selected. Now I'm gonna take a screenshot number 3 here for iSCSI being selected here. So screenshot number 3. So iSCSI being installed, I'll just name it. In fact, I can take a OneNote screenshot here as well, I think. Well, OneNote. So it's Windows key, Shift key, and S key thing. Oh yeah, it lets me do that too. And I'll put it in OneNote here. So that is iSCSI being installed. That's a screenshot number 3. And you will take that screenshot number 3 where you have selected the iSCSI service here. Make sure that your name is showing when you do that. So iSCSI target server, and I'm going to click next here. Yeah, that's it. Next, finish, right? So next here again, and out of habit I do that restart. If it needs a restart, it will, otherwise it won't. So press yes and install. So 3 screenshots. Now I'm just gonna put here screenshot 4 equals. So just saved automatically. It should be showing up there. So my iSCSI service is installed. I'm gonna click close here, and then I'm just gonna go back to the server manager again. Server manager, I'm back, and I need to see if this iSCSI service is showing now. So where should it be showing? So you go to server manager, and then you go to file and storage services. So let's click file and storage services. Now you see iSCSI service here as well. So let's click iSCSI here. What does it do? It converts local disks to shared disks over the network. Any other machine can have this disk shared over the network and use it as if that machine, that disk is local to that machine. Otherwise, actually, that disk is here local. So once you click iSCSI, then you see this to create an iSCSI virtual disk, start the new iSCSI virtual disk wizard. So I'm going to click here to create an iSCSI virtual disk. So I need to convert the first local disk that we added 300 GB into iSCSI disk and share it with the two hypervisors EsxiAdded and EsxiAdded. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click E drive here, and that is E drive 300 GB. So I'm going to select only that because you can select one at a time. I'm selecting this local disk into iSCSI disk, so it could be shared with the two hypervisors EsxiAdded and EsxiAdded. So I selected E, and I'm going to click next here, right? And then I'm going to put here the name. The naming will be consistent here, LUN0 actually, and next. I will use up the full space here, 300 GB. And yes, it is dynamically expanding, which means that it's thin provisioned, or it's not going to take that much space. If we install any software on top of that, it will take the space whatever the software needs. Otherwise, it's not going to take any much space. If you put fixed disk, which is thick provision, then it's going to take a lot of space, which we don't want. So fixed disk is always better performing. So Jeremy is asking what was the name. What was the name of the third screenshot you're talking about? It's in your OneNote as well, but what was the name of third screenshot? It's iSCSI being installed, and the screenshot should be there already. So Jeremy, is it, what was the name? Is that question to me? Oh, okay. So I'm gonna hit previous. Oh, LUN0. It's LUN0. Wow, you're fast. Spencer. Okay, you're there as well. Good, man. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Okay, LUN0. And I'm going to click next here. And this is 300 GB and dynamically expanding. So that's the setting here. Then we click next. 300 words. Yeah. So, yeah, within 2 hours, I'm trying to fill up some major steps there, because we were not able to go ahead. Now you have enough time, so I have to be a bit fast to cover some major topics. If we go at the class speed, then I don't think we're going anywhere. So so next, and it's not your fault, it's nobody's fault, it's just that okay, so it's somebody's stuck and I'm stuck, we're stopped here. I just can't keep going ahead. So new iSCSI target and click next. So then what is target here? So target, we need to just understand one thing about target here. Obviously, if I'm mentioning here, it's going to be in the quiz as well. So target is that target offers storage over the network in SAN, while initiators requests disks over the network from target in SAN, not SAM, SAN. So target is offering disks over the network to initiators. So target offers storage over the network to initiators in SAN, and initiators request disk over the network from target in SAN. So in that case, this is target and these guys are initiators. So they will be requesting those disks that we are creating here. So let's go ahead and I'm just so we were on this screen, new iSCSI target. I'm going to click next here, right? So once you click next, now we need to give the target name here as well. So you can go for your first name and target 1. So that would be, you can actually put any name after your first name. It's just to identify that the 2 disks will be available with the target which is named like this, right? So your first name target 1, we put that here, and let's click next. At the end of it, I will be taking a screenshot, so don't go ahead. Once we click next here, after putting the name of a target, now who are the initiators, the requesters? So requester number 1 is EsxiAdded, requester number 2 is EsxiAdded, and we need to know their IP addresses, because we're going to tell the target, hey target, only give this disk over the network to these 2 guys. That's it. Don't give it to anyone else, because you're going to identify them either with name or IP addresses now. So let's click add here, and there are many ways to discover the 2 hypervisors or initiators, but we're going to go for easiest ways and the quickest way, and that is if you click this, enter a value for the selected type, and then there's an IQN number, which is a storage address. Actually, if you go down here, there is that DNS name, which is we gave that name EsxiAdded1.virtualdomain.local, which is our domain name, and then there is IP address, there's MAC address. We can grab the MAC address, but better and easier and quicker is if you go for IP address, make sure you do select IP address here, and then give the IP address of first hypervisor, and then give the IP address of later second hypervisor. So 192.168.200.2 is the IP address of the initiator number 1, which is actually EsxiAdded. So this will get this initiator will get the first disk that is being shared right now. So I'm just going to press OK here, and make sure the type is IP address. Then go again for the second one and add its information the same way you added the first one's information. So I'm going to click add here. I'm going to go to enter value for the selected type. Make sure, some students actually do that mistake, they forget to put the IP address, they just put IQ and they keep it like that and just put the IP address. So then your SAN over the network will not connect to the hypervisors. So let's keep it IP address. Make sure you put the IP address. 192.168.200.3 is the IP of the next initiator, the requester of a shared disk or LUN over the network. So I'm just going to press OK. Now, yeah, this is, I'm going to ask a screenshot in the next one, actually, on the results. Okay, so this is good. If this is good, let's click next here. Now this screen is enable CHAP and enable reverse CHAP. So this is extra authentication. Now enable CHAP is challenge handshake authentication protocol, and reverse challenge handshake. So normally what happens is that if the target is offering the disk, this password will pop up. If the requesters are requesting a disk, this password will pop up. But since we know that we are in a secure environment, we are in our private environment here, which is secure, there are no immediate threats or attacks here. We in production environment also you have firewalls, and then you have IPS IDS devices there, so and antivirus end to end. So you don't need extra protection here. If anyone wants to go for that in production environment, in data centers, go ahead. We're not going to go for this, but we understand that this is just an extra layer of security to offer disks or request disks. At that time they annoyingly pop up. Okay, anyway, so we're not gonna fill that up, and click next. Now this is a screenshot we need. So it shows that you have name, and that is your first name target 1. Then you have IP addresses here, 200.2, 200.3, and which disk, the E disk, the local disk E has been converted over the network as LUN 0 and has been offered by the target named your first name target to the initiators whose IP addresses are these. So it's disk E being offered with target creation to requesters. Okay, I'll write that, don't worry. So I'll just first of all take a screenshot of that, and I'll put it here, inserting. So you will be seeing this screenshot in your OneNote hopefully in 10 or 20 seconds. So so disk E being converted to iSCSI with target creation as well. Wow, that's a full sentence. So that's the full name, but it just shows that we did we not only converted disk E and shared it, but we created a target as well, and we actually defined the requesters as well. No one else over the network can get this disk other than the two IP addresses that we mentioned. Only they can request over the disk, this disk over the network. So this these screenshots and names of this are still being they're appearing on your OneNote as well. Wow, the name was so long that it's still saving here. Seriously, normally it saves right away. Anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead now if this name has been put in here, and Alt Tab, we go back. So we're gonna click the create button here, and the first target got created, the first disk got converted to iSCSI disk, the first local disk got converted to iSCSI disk, and also that the two initiators were also configured that can claim the disk over the network. So that's the first disk. Now the second is, suppose you had 200 disks, you could keep on adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 200 disks, and you can keep them all adding to the same target. Now if there were requesters there that are connecting to this target, if that target has 200 disks, so all 200 disks over the network will be made available to these requesters. So now once you make a target for the second disk, you don't need to create a new target. You just keep on adding second disk to the same target, third disk to the same target, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Suppose you had that many. We have just 2. But whoever connects to this target gets all the disks that were added under this target, right? So that's how it works. You can create multiple targets, but it's just that one target can offer hundreds of disks as well. So we're gonna go for tasks here. See this? Tasks on the top right. Tasks on the top right. And then we're gonna go for new iSCSI virtual disk. New iSCSI virtual disk, right? Let's click that, new iSCSI virtual disk. Now obviously we're going to go for second disk, and we're going to convert it, but this time we're not creating a new target, we're not defining requesters or initiators because we already did that. We're just going to add this disk to the existing target. So we're going to click this disk here, we're going to click next here, and that would be, the first one was LUN 0, so that is LUN 1, right? Okay, so if it is LUN 1, click next. And yes, we're gonna use the full disk here, and we're gonna keep it dynamically expanding, which means thin provisioning. And click next. Now, as you know, we're just gonna add this disk to this existing target, which is okay, and you could add 200, 300, 1000 disks as well to the same target. Okay, so then we simply click next, and now for this we can just take a screenshot number 4 here, and that would be this disk, it's the second disk F added to the same target. So I'm going to press the OneNote screenshot hotkeys, which is Windows key, Shift key, and S key. Okay. So, and I'll go ahead and screenshot 5, adding disk F to the same target, and the screenshot. Adding disk F to the same target. Adding disk F to the same target. So adding disk F to the same target, and if that is done, disk F to the same target, and let's go ahead. Right, so that's it. Go ahead and click create if you have taken the screenshot, and put in the name of the screenshot as well. It's already on your OneNote. So I'm going to click close here. Now what we have done here in terms of diagram, so we added the 2 disks, we formatted them locally, we converted them to iSCSI, we shared to them on the target side one-sidedly, we shared them with the 2 hypervisors. Each one or shared disk over the network is shared with both hypervisors, right? So this means that the target side of work is done. Now whenever the hypervisors are online and they are introduced to the vCenter, after that vCenter can add these 2 disks from the target to the initiators. So through vCenter we can do that. Now as far as the SAN is concerned, the software SAN we created is ready now. So we're done with the SAN. So I'm just going to go back here, and so this is the screenshot that would show the full configuration that we did. The 2 disks which are local disks are ENF, the shared disk names are LUN0, LUN1, and the target is this, and to whom we are sharing this to with 200.2, 200.3s. If you see this screenshot, or if you see this configuration, you can track your mistakes. Suppose the disks are not showing up there in the hypervisors later, you can come back here and check that, hey, is my 192 is 191 by mistake, or 168 to 169, or is it 200.4 here instead of 3? So if the IP address is wrong, so anything is wrong, that would be something. So then we can go for now. So if this is done, we're good. But we took those configurations in separate screenshots, so we don't need a screenshot here. Now if you go back to the major steps, so we reached till screenshot 5 here, and I'm going to go back to the OneNote way on the top here, and so yes, these 3 steps are done. Convert both new disks to iSCSI disks, and okay, and well, the steps would be, and share them with the hypervisors. Okay, so these steps are done. Now what we can do is create basic infrastructure in vCenter. Yeah, we need to do that, and then add both hypervisors. So what do we mean by that actually? So we're going to go inside the vCenter and create two data centers, and by the name of Tor DC, which is Toronto Data Center, and NYDC, or New York Data Center. So we can, why are we creating data centers? What are data centers? So they are for organization, and data centers do allow advanced features, like we can create clusters after that. That would open up more advanced features of VMware. So Tor DC and NYDC will be created there. Then we will add, and then add ESXi01 to Tor DC, and ESXi02 to NYDC. So we'll be adding the TORDC, the ESXi1 to the Toronto data center, and I would just put it on the top here, create two data center. Although we don't need two data centers normally are created. Data center object in vCenter is created for, you know, where there's a big environment. Multiple data centers are created at that time. Okay, so but we are just creating two, so just to know how to really manage if there were two data centers. So then name them TODC and NYDC. So let's do that now. In vCenter, we need to create those data centers in order to attach ESXi1 to TODC and ESXi2 to NYDC. So once we create the two data centers, we are ready to power on ESXi1, ESXi2. That's where the pain starts, right? Even right now, maybe the vCenter is painful, but when these two machines start, then good luck. They take time, guys. If you want to start, it's good time to start. Let's just start that. While they're starting, then we're gonna go for. So my laptop vCenter is 12 GB, right? Maybe you wanna take it down to 8 GB here, or well, actually 10 GB. Sorry, you want to take it down to 10 GB because we were working on this till now because we needed some speed. Now we need the others to actually just simply start. No, we don't have to. Spencer is saying, do we have to? And okay, Tim is also saying that first. Tim is saying how to delete an iSCSI target. How to delete an iSCSI target? Okay, Spencer, we don't have to. That's the answer for you. If you have enough RAM, you don't change it. This is for those who have 16 GB RAM. So you guys can just go for 10 GB. I have 32 GB RAM here, so I don't have to do that. But I'm just saying that for those who have 16 GB RAM, take it down to 10 GB and then 1044. You still have, you know, we're still overcommitting here. We can take it down to 8 GB and 844, right? Okay, so all right, okay, you rule. So you don't have to change anything, Spencer and Tim. So how to delete iSCSI target? Now let suppose, guys, maybe there by mistake there is something wrong here, right? So deleting an iSCSI target is a little tricky thing. You want to make a change here, you have to actually create a new target. So suppose I made here 200.4 and I realized, oh, 204 does not exist. So I would just, whichever line has a mistake, right? Whichever line has a mistake, I'm gonna right click on that line, and I can actually go for extend here. Actually, let me check. Assign. Yeah, it's assigned. So guys, if there's a mistake here, if there's a mistake, right click on that line only and click assign. And click assign. Once you click assign, the only thing you can do is you need to create the new iSCSI target, and then then go through give it a new name. So if you named it your first name target 1, just go for your first name target 2, right? Just name it something else. Next, your first name target 2. I'm doing it just for those if you need troubleshooting, right? So but I'm not gonna successfully finish it. I'm just gonna cancel it out, but I'm just showing it for so pay attention, those who are watching the video afterwards, that I'm doing it for troubleshooting. In case you get an error, do not follow me if you're okay. Do not follow me on this if you're okay, right? Your first name target 2. First we do that, then we go next, and then we add those, two hypervisors again, and correctly. We select that, go to IP addresses, add one by one both, and okay, next, right? So we just follow the full thing again, put the IP address of first hypervisor, okay, then put the second hypervisor, okay, and then next finish. So it will create a new target. It will actually not create. I'm going to cancel out from here now. I hope you understand, but if you want me to go ahead, let me know, Tim. So otherwise, if you got it, so I'm just going to cancel out from here. Otherwise, I can take it to. So okay, cool. So I'm just going to. So this is if you're changing that first. If you're changing target here, then for disk F, suppose I went for that, obviously you can't leave the other disk E to the same target, so you have to go to that one as well, just to put the two disks under the same target. You have to do the assign thing with the second one as well. But if you have done with the first one, the second one, you just have to add it. When you go for the second one, it will show you two targets at that time, because you would have created the second target already. And once you go, so just go to the second one, click assign, select the second target instead of first, next finish. So that's the troubleshooting, but you have to put both disks on the same. And okay, so here if that is done, and this is something that students will be facing. If by mistake something happens here, you have to change both, not just anyone. Okay guys, let's talk about what we were doing here. So that was we were going for SAN, and then now we need to create that infrastructure inside. So for that, I was saying, if you have 16 GB RAM, this is a good time to change 12 GB to 8 GB, whatever the laptop accepts, and then power on those two hypervisors. If you have more than 16 GB, it's a wow. If you're 16 GB, you will still survive, because I have two other classes, like one in Humber, one in Net Plus College, and they both have exactly 16 GB, and we have not only survived with the total of 16 GB here, right? So 4 GB here, and then 8 GB here. So that was total 16, right? We overcommitted, and we have gone further ahead with that too. So so far so good. It works actually. So let's go ahead. But the other college, NetPlus, they have their desktops with 32 GB RAM. So we're like, wow, it's heaven for VMware. Okay, so here I'm just gonna go ahead, and that is this is done. Create basic info. So I'm gonna go. So at this time, if you have changed it, so yeah, let me just put it here as a major step. This is a good time to put your Windows machine RAM to 8 GB. So if you need to do that, you need to shut down your first name Win01, change the RAM, power on. When you power on, remember one thing, and this is obviously something that you cannot avoid now. If you are restarting, so if this VM is on login screen, either you log in and stay there, or if it's on login screen, then give it a good 10 minutes, and and don't do anything. Just keep it there 10 minutes. 5 minutes is okay, 10 minutes okay. Don't do anything. After 10 minutes, then log in. So that is a good omen. Then everything works after that. Okay, I'm just kidding. So no, it's vCenter services in the background are starting. If you log in, then don't do anything. Don't open the browser. Just wait, go somewhere, come back after 10 minutes, and then when you start vCenter, it starts right away. Otherwise, it's gonna give you a variety of errors. 503 error while starting vCenter. While starting vCenter, if you get 503 or 401 or 407, I'm just kidding. So 503 error, then it means the vCenter services are starting. Don't worry, vCenter services are starting. So sit back and enjoy the show. Like, you don't have to worry about, oh, what is 543, what is going on. Don't panic, right? Just wait. That's it. It's a big enterprise grade application. It's going to take its time. When you give it 8 GB RAM, in production environments we give it 128 GB RAM or 64 GB RAM or like that, right? So but we're giving 8 GB RAM. That's brutal, right? Already. So 503 error, then it means the vCenter services are starting and are starting in the background. Okay, starting in the background. So sit back and enjoy the show, or sit tight. That's it. Or there's a big or. If you see a warning that says initializing, then it's again asking you to sit tight. Services in the background are starting, right? And wait. So better give it 10 minutes and then come back again, right? So in order to avoid all these panics and everything, oh, what's going on? So you give it time, then it just works fine. You don't give it time, you just get confused. It still takes it time to come up, right? So okay, guys, that is something that you have to pay attention to when you're, and you need a lot of patience to do that. So I'll just go ahead and now what we were doing, I'm gonna start the two hypervisors, and I'll just look at my RAM as well quickly while I'm doing that. So it's 20 GB already taken. Seriously, are you kidding me? So okay, for me it's taken, but I have already a lot of other software also running in the background. When you're starting the two machines, just stop everything else that is using your memory. So I'm going to go to hypervisor 1 EsxiAdded. It is 4 GB, 2 processor. You can't take it down. Well, try it and it's not going to start actually. So resume. So EsxiAdded is resuming now, and EsxiAdded 2, maybe don't resume right away, all or both. Give it time, like let the first start and then the second start. That would be good. Otherwise maybe your machine will be frozen. You have to just end task everything and something. Okay, so now the hypervisor 1 is started. It is on DCUI, which is Direct Console User Interface. This area is called DCUI, Direct Console User Interface. And again, this one is also there. In fact, I wanted to just change its because I suspended those machines and I unsuspended now. So I need to just put it on escape and put it on the actual page where it's showing me the name of the machine, your first name is EsxiAdded, and the IP. Okay, so if I go here as well, it's good, and yeah, it's also showing me the name and IP. So when they're fully started, just make sure that you got the correct IPs there, 200.2 and 200.3. We're good. So these two hypervisors are started, and I'm going to go back to my Windows machine or the vCenter, and there now I need to talk to my vCenter. I need to configure it. I need to log into it. So I'm going to go to the Google Chrome, where remember in the class I asked everyone that please put Google Chrome and then start the vCenter there and use it throughout onwards. Do not go for IE, Internet Explorer. So if I'm in the Chrome in vCenter now, since I unsuspended that machine, so it was frozen in this state, it's not gonna let me do anything unless I just log back in. So I'm just gonna refresh it, so it could kick me out. And your connection is not private, blah blah blah. So when it says here, then go down to advanced here, and if you go further down here, so there's that. Proceed to this machine name, and once you click proceed to, then you go to this screen again, right? So if you see up there that Flash player showing, then better refer to the last video where I did show. And okay, I'm going to show that again because so many of you will get that. So I'm going to if you have the Flash player here, so and in that case you might need internet connection. So right click here, and if you right click, there's a Flash here. This would be on block here, right? So make sure it is allow, pop-ups are allow, automatic is allow. If it's not showing here, then you need to go here, site settings. This is for those who see the Flash player. I don't see that, but I'm just showing it for those. So site settings here, you would go and you would change the settings of JavaScript is also already allow. Flash should be allow. If it's not, go to allow. Images is allow, pop-ups is allow, and background synchronization is allow. So it is recorded, so you can just put back the video and see that again. Automatic downloads must be allowed. So whatever is allowed on this screen, you can just go do those changes here. Once you're done with that, so then you can go back to your vSphere client and it will say reload like this. So once you reload, it just reloads to this screen and the Flash player option goes away. Okay, requirement option. So now I'm just going to log into this administrator at vsphere.login. Seriously, what's wrong with me? .local, and make sure the spellings are correct, and are mine correct? Yeah. Okay, and then go for the password, and that is small ABC, capital ABC. Keep pressing shift, which is exclamation at and pound sign, and without shift, which is 1 2 3, right? So I'm gonna put that here as well. What was the administrator username password? So in order to log in, so user equals administrator at vsphere.local, and password is small ABC, capital ABC, shift 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that's what we need to know. So second line, so I'll just okay. So username and password is this. In my case, it is this. Whatever username password you put, you go for that. Okay, so okay, let's carry on. And then administrator at vsphere.local, and the password is this. So I'm just gonna click login. And it opens. Okay, 22 GB left, still breathing. Okay, what's the new one? 22. Okay, I can still survive. Okay, guys, so this is the vCenter inside, and the most important area is hosts and clusters, then VMs and templates. Also, you will see all the VMs there. Storage is to handle all the storage, which is the SAN and the local storage of each hypervisor as well, and storage of the virtual machines as well. Then networking, obviously all the virtual standard switches, distributed switches, all that would be covered here. How many hypervisors you have, how many virtual machines inside the hypervisors, so you want to see everything. That's always in hosts and clusters. So I'm going to click that hosts and clusters here. And our best friend recent tasks here, I'm going to drag it a little down here. Why I say best friend, you need to keep an eye on recent tasks whenever you're doing a task. Oh, okay, that went too down. Serious? No, it's not going up. Okay, didn't like it. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna go up there, and so if you see that your first name Vin01 dot your first name Virt or virtual.local, so I'm just gonna right click on top of that, and there's a new data center here, right? So I'm going to click that new data center to create the basic infrastructure of vCenter. And the first one, as we talked about, is Tor DC. And if you put the name here, that's all you need. So I right clicked here on this and then selected new data center, and then there's a Tor DC here. That's all you need to put and press OK, right? And then in the recent task, always keep an eye on the recent task. Maybe sometimes it gives an error. So it is green and completed. That's good. And I'm going to go up there and go create the second data center. We don't need a second data center, but just to know how to manage two data centers and how to work on those. So I'm going to right click here and go to new data center as well. And we go for NYDC. So press OK. Okay, so here, if you see that Tor DC here and NYDC here, so well, if you click on top of that Tor DC, so you can see there was a data center, then there's a add host, then add virtual machine, then complete setup, and if I click here on the top, it was telling create data center, add host, add virtual machine. So welcome to vCenter server. You are ready to set up a vCenter server. The first step is to create a data center. A data center contains all inventory objects such as hosts, which is our hypervisors, and virtual machines. So you might need only one data center. Large companies might use multiple data centers to represent organizational units in their enterprise. So that's why we're just creating two data centers, just to know how, if we had two data centers, how would it really manage. So now guys, we really need to add the two hypervisors. We need to introduce these two guys to the vCenter. So the vCenter could centrally manage these hypervisors, their storage, their networking, their virtual machines, everything about those hypervisors and whatever they're hosting. So let's go to the Tor DC here. Now what we need to do is we need to add the host with the name. You can add them by IP addresses as well. But what were the names of the hosts? So I'm just going to try to check there, EsxiAdded, and the name of the host is your first name, EsxiAdded. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. So if these two are created, so first of all, we're going to take a screenshot there. So that is two data centers created. So I'm just going to take a screenshot here, two data centers created. So two data centers created. I'll go to screenshot 6. Two data centers created and the screenshot. Okay, so the question is there from Tim. If we have 16 gigs of RAM, we cannot run both EsxiAdded servers at the same time. So we can actually, because with another college, they all have 16 GB RAM, and okay, you know what? Let me just quickly put that up. In Upper College, there are 29 students. They all have 16 GB RAM. So, and we have gone ahead, much ahead. So the RAM here, sorry, let me just grab that. So yeah, Jay is saying, so Tim is saying, my laptop automatically assigns the RAM when I start the VMs. Yes, Tim, first of all, we cannot change the RAMs on the hypervisors. We cannot. What we can is to change the RAM only on the vCenter, right? 10 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB is working fine to me. Okay, so Jay is saying 10 GB and 4 GB. Jay, you have a 16 GB laptop? Yeah, you would have 16 GB. That's why we're putting that. So Jay has 16 GB laptop and 10 4. Thank you, Jay, for sharing this information. So Tim, hopefully you can do that, because 16 GB 1044 is working fine. Okay, so you're saying, Tim is saying, no matter how much memory, how much my VMs are using, it says I am using the whole amount. Tim, did you stop anything else, or maybe any other extra application, anything else that is using, maybe you have an antivirus, anything you can right click and end task, end task, end task, because other applications are using your memory as well. Okay. Then the other thing would be, if you still put it on 1044, the OS still needs space for RAM. Space, yeah, but I can't even run 844. Sometimes it shows that it's not running when we shut down everything, then shut down the laptop as well. We, start the laptop again, then start everything else with this configuration, and then it just evaluates again and it tries to just. Uh, so, Tim, another suggestion would be, because it really works for. I've seen it in big classes. It's working. With the 1044 in our class, it is working. So if you shut down, because your laptop is not evaluating correctly, and so it happens to me as well. I have to just shut down everything and then start just this, and then stop all the applications and try to manage. So try it with shutting down everything, and then let laptop uh, analyze what's being used, what's not being used. Right now, it's claiming everything is being used. So some applications taking memory still. Mohammed is saying, missed it from hosts and clusters, PC froze. Ouch. So that's why, guys, you don't have to really do the lab now. You have a deadline till Sunday. So don't worry if you did not go ahead. You can easily upload it right now. Try to understand what's going on, because if we stop here, we won't be able to go ahead at all. So try to, that's why I'm saying that treat this as a demo. You don't have to really submit now. It's been said again and again. So 1044, 844, these should work, but yeah, let the laptop analyze again. So I'm just gonna close this OneNote to save my memory as well. So Mohammed, also don't, if it froze, yeah, try to just see that you have enough time, right? Everyone has enough time. And if there's any issues, let me know on email, or I have given the number so many times here. So just what's happening, or text me. Alright, guys. So here TorDC, and I. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to add the hypervisor one here. So I'm gonna go for TorDC. I'm gonna right click the TorDC here and add host. Now this is also a part that is kind of painful. It doesn't really add right away so easily. It's not a very easy application. That's why there's a demand for that in the market. That's why the course has been added here to learn it. So you have to be patiently troubleshooting that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that name here for the hypervisor and the domain name. I need to know the domain name. So I'm going to go to server manager here to know the domain name. What is our domain name anyway? Which I did read before. In fact, we don't have a domain name, but we did give a suffix. So I'm going to go to tools. I'm going to go to DNS here to know the full name, or FQDN, of our machine. So if you go to for lookup zone, yeah, your first name Virt2200 is the name. If we go ahead, okay, that's why. Yeah, guys, instead of adding the hypervisor by name, and that's gonna be a pain, why don't we just add it by IP? We have a very small environment. But if you needed to add hypervisor by name, you have to create A records here, and then run ipconfig first DNS and register DNS. So that's a bit longer procedure. We can go easy on that. We can always, even after adding, we can just create the DNS later as well to add by name. Right now we can add hypervisor by IP. So that would be easy for you as well. Otherwise it's going to give you errors as well, which you have to troubleshoot. Extra time for that. So I have done what? I'm on vCenter. I've just created 2 data centers here. I'm right clicking on Tor DC here, and I'm clicking add host here. That's how we're going to add both hosts. So I'm putting the IP of that host. In production environment, normally we put name, but for that, the A records of both hosts have to be added there, and the flush DNS command has to be run, and then after some time it takes the accepts it by name. So 192.168.200.2 is the IP of the first hypervisor. I'm going to click next here. It's asking the local credentials of the hypervisor itself. So that is root, because it is still basically a Linux software or Linux based. Root, and the password we gave there was small abc, capital ABC, shift123. I think it was the same as we gave it to the vCenter. I'm just going to try with the long password, which is shift123 and without shift123. Next, maybe it says that, oh, this information is wrong, your password is wrong. So in that case, well, it pops up with this, unable to verify the authenticity. So it just says that, hey, did you purchase a security certificate from from public CA like certificate authority like godaddy.com, digisign.com, verisign.com, digicerts.com, or is it a self-signed local certificate? So we're saying yes, it is a self-signed local certificate, which is okay, no need to worry. Connect anyway, yes, connect anyway. Press yes. If the password is correct, it's going to go ahead. Otherwise, it's going to say password is incorrect, obviously. Oops. So it says here, login due to an incorrect username password. So I may not have used that vCenter password. I would have used a short password. So I'm going to go for small ABC, capital ABC, shift123 only. So, and I'm going to try that again. Next. Yes, it's again, ignore this. Oh yeah, so it was a short password. So it's just small ABC, capital ABC, shift123, right? If you see the screen, you're good. So you can add the hypervisor to vCenter. I'm going to click next. It says licenses. It actually says something that I was not expecting. Is not exported by any plugin. Are you kidding me? Anyone doing this? Oh, it still lets me go ahead. So I'm going to click back here, and normally it shows a license here, but it didn't actually. So I'm going to click next still. It lets me go ahead. So it did not find a license. Actually, we are using a trial version, so should be okay. So I'm going to click here. Now lockdown mode is that we need to put it normal, and what it does is, so I'm going to go explain that here. So what it does is that normal mode means that vCenter is living here, right? From vCenter you can connect to a hypervisor, yes. From direct console interface, which is you log in directly to that, you can log into hypervisor, yes, with the normal lockdown mode. But what you cannot do is that you cannot log in from a browser directly to a hypervisor. Lockdown mode means from Google Chrome or from Internet Explorer, you cannot directly connect to hypervisor from now on after the lockdown mode is enabled or is it put to normal, right? So now when you put it to normal, it is for security reasons that you can connect from vCenter to hypervisor, yes. You can directly connect from DCUI, direct console user interface, to hypervisor, yes, by putting root and password. You cannot connect from browser remotely to hypervisor anymore after this is enabled. Strict mode just means that you cannot connect from browser directly to a hypervisor. You cannot log in locally as well to the hypervisor. You can only connect from the vCenter to hypervisor. That is called strict mode, strict lockdown mode, right? So hopefully we got that. So I'm just going to go ahead now and click next after clicking normal mode. Okay, same thing. Thank you, Spencer and Jeremy. So here once you click that, Tor DC is there, and yeah, so we just go ahead. We were adding the hypervisor to Tor DC. Next. So this is the final screen here that says, well, this is the final screen. Click finish. So now our best friend recent task says 80% done. So the first host is being added to Tor DC. And well, it should be done 100% soon. We really don't need to wait for it. We can go for the other hypervisor while it is being added. But also that we need to confirm actually that was it an error or was it completed successfully here. So it's trying to add. Did anyone got it completed successfully? Still going the same. 80%, okay. Uh-oh. So Jeopardy theme. Oh, yeah, that too. 80%. So the Vani is saying no. 80%, Spencer 80%. Hey, everyone's on 80%. Me too. Okay, well, I'm just scared to death that it does not add. So then I'm just staring at it. But let's go up there and add the second one, because by this time we would know for the second one as well. So let's go to restoring virtual machine state. Ouch. Oh, moment. Or a. Okay. So yeah, let's go for NYDC here, and although there is a lockdown there, but yeah, let's just right click here and create data center there as well. So NYDC, wow, I selected and it's saying, like, really, you're clicking me? Are you kidding me or what? Okay, come on. Okay, I'll just right click. So I'm writing on NYDC, and I'm gonna go for add host here, NYDC and add host. And yeah, the same drill, guys. So it's 192.168.200.3 is the IP for the second hypervisor, and we click next. Okay, so root, and the password is small shift123, the shorter password that just comes to shift123, and click next. It says self-signed certificate. Yes, self-signed certificate, which is insecure. If you see this screen, you're good. This means it's okay. It has added that, accepted the connection. vCenter has accepted this connection. Next. That's it. Next, finish, right? So now this, I never saw that error before, but for the license, but we keep going. Next. We put it to normal lockdown mode as well. And next. NYDC here. Mine just gonna be, oh, thank God. Thank you, Dhwani. So thank you for updating. Next. And that's it. So, you know, the next finish, it's a summary and we get to add that, right? So click finish. And okay, so I'm just gonna go back to the recent task here. Oh, thank God. Okay, the first one did complete for me as well. It's always a relief. Otherwise, we have to troubleshoot that too. And if you're using it by name, so then the DNS is not contacting, or there are some other issues, then spellings are not okay, or so IP just smooths it up. But in production environment, no, we do not use IP. We just add it by name. So the second one is being added, and I'm going to expand the first one, Tor DC, and it shows like this. And whenever the NYDC second one gets added, I'm going to expand that to, we need a screenshot of that. Even so, if you expand, I expand it, it just shows here red circle. So that just means that it is in the process of being added. It's not, well, it is literally disconnected, but it's in the process of being added. 80% now. That does take time, so I understand that. So, okay. Well, I needed a picture where it just adds the. So, guys, while it is taking a picture, we can go for one more task here because of the limitation of time. We need to at least add the SAN to the both hypervisors. So what we need to do now is, if we go to the diagram for the perspective here, we have introduced both hypervisors to vCenter. vCenter knows, okay, EsxiAdded, how do you do? And EsxiAdded2, okay, nice to meet you. Just stay 3 meters away. How do you do? Yeah. And now they know each other. So vCenter says, okay, so the main requirement of an acceptable virtualization network is that you need to be connected to SAN. So since EsxiAdded1 is done, I need to connect, vCenter needs to connect the two disks to the EsxiAdded1 at least. So we're doing exactly that now, right? So I'm going to go back here. Well, by now it is showing to me that both are added. There's that screenshot we needed. So okay, cool. Jeremy says NYDC finished. Okay, thank you for updating. And I'm just gonna take a screenshot of expand the both like I've done. Expand NYDC and Tor DC like I've done. And if they are clearly showing exactly like this, then take a screenshot. So DC created, data centers created, hypervisors added. That's the name of the screenshot. So data centers created, hypervisors added. So that's screenshot number 7. Okay, data centers created, hypervisors added. So the screenshot shows both. So Control V, that's the screenshot number 7. So the name is data centers created, hypervisors added. Data centers created, hypervisors added. It should be showing up in your OneNote. Well, okay, so that's screenshot number 7. Data centers created, hypervisors added. It's kind of a, for me at least, like it's painful to do that, and that's just the start of the painfuls. Okay, so but so far so good. You guys are good. Okay, the other class, Humber, that's a packed class, and they're all way ahead with this, with the 16 GB laptop. So you guys are smart. Cool, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead, guys, and we need to add that SAN. So I hope we're all selecting Tor DC's EsxiAdded1, which is hypervisor 1. So let's select that hypervisor. Go ahead and select that hypervisor. Once you do select that hypervisor, so on the right side you should be seeing all this. In fact, I'm just going to expand that. There's nothing inside, but if I select that, so then I can go to manage after selecting it. And once I go to manage here, then there is settings, networking, storage, alarm definitions, tags, permissions of hypervisor 1, EsxiAdded1. So if you're in the hypervisor 1, EsxiAdded1, and you click manage here, then we need to click this guy, storage. Let's click the storage here for hypervisor 1 here, and we are seeing storage adapters. So all we need to do is the two disks, the two LUNs that are waiting on the software SAN we have, we need to attach those two LUNs here to hypervisor 1 first, then we need to attach two LUNs here to hypervisor 2 as well. And thanks to vCenter, we can do that now. So if you're exactly on this spot here, then there's a green plus we're seeing here. So now the time is really running out, so I need to go a little ahead now. So I'm going to click the green plus here and go for software iSCSI adapter. I'm going to go for software iSCSI adapter here. Once I click that, so it says, hey, you want to start the service? So yes, we want to start the service, so press OK. Yes, we want to start the service, so press OK. Now we need to be very, very careful here. It's just that we need to know where is the newly added adapter here in this window. If you go to the right side, there's a scroll bar here, this one. So if you click, and you can see down here at the bottom, Vmware33. If EsxiAdded adapter is added or showing and Vmware33 is showing, you're good. So this is the adapter, software adapter, that's going to help us add the two LUNs from the SAN over the network to this hypervisor. This adapter will help us do that. So click this Vmware33 or select it. Then down here we see this targets. So guys, I just need to finish this before the time. You have the video, you have 2 days to finish that. So don't worry about anything, right? So VHP33 and targets. If I click the targets here, so it's just saying, hey, which target is giving me 2 disks there, or 200 disks, or 2000 disks. So I'm going to click targets, and then I'm going to click add. So we know which target is the first server. So I'm going to click add here to add the SAN disks here. And it's just saying, hey, what's the name or IP of that SAN device that has the target that has my 2 disks there waiting for me. So 192.168.200.1 is the machine that has the target that has 2 disks for this hypervisor. So if you put that, then press OK. And if that is done, so there would be an orange line showing up here that just says, hey, there, do you want to rescan? So there's that golden button here. It's not golden, actually, it's silver button, but it's gold to us. So rescan this silver button. It's once you click that small rescan silver button here, this one, so it will say scan everything. Yeah, scan everything. Go ahead. So press OK. If our connectivity from the hypervisor to the Windows machine or the vCenter is okay, then you should successfully see 3 more disks inside this section called storage devices. So if I click storage devices here, there should not be 2, there should be 5 devices there. 2 local, 3 over the network. The 3 newly added would be starting with MSFT. So MSFT is showing here for me. MSFT is showing here for me. That's the second LUN. So 2 LUNs that we added, not 5, sorry, 4. So 2 local, 2 MSFT. Yeah, sorry, it's 2 are already local. One is local disk, one is local CD-ROM. The other is MSFT, MSFT. If you see 2 MSFTs there, you're good. If you don't see that, so refresh that again. Turn off the firewall on this machine. Suppose I go there to server manager and go to local server and go to firewall. It should be off. Don't trust the off. I'm going to click that and I will check that it is off. Second thing is the internet off as well. So it should be 4 now if every connectivity was okay. So MSFT should be showing there. There's a rescan, just rescan it again, or follow the steps when I release the video again. So I'm going to do the same steps on the second hypervisor to add the 2 LUNs successfully from the target. This is the second initiator that is requesting connection to target to add the 2 LUNs or 2 disks. So I'm going to go to the second one here. I'm going to do the whole thing again. What is the whole thing? I'm going to go to the second hypervisor, go to manage, go to storage. It's actually already there. I'm just saying that. So manage, storage, and storage adapters again, right? And then there is plus sign here as well. So I'm going to click plus sign here as well. This is the storage adapter that's going to help us connect the initiators to the target to receive the disks over the network. So I'm going to click software EsxiAdded adapter. I'm going to press OK here. It's going to add that adapter, EsxiAdded adapter that helps us connect to EsxiAdded disk. I'm going to go to the right side scroll bar here, keep going down, 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 and until I see Vmware33 here as well. It's way at the bottom. I select that vMHBA33 and I go to targets. So, and it's just asking, hey, give me the IP of the machine that has the target that has the 2 disks for me. So if you selected vMHBA33, then you selected targets, then you can click add. And then the target we already know the IP of 192.168.200.1 and press OK. So we're now adding the 2 disks to this guy, EsxiAdded as well. We are remotely connected to this now. And it also says, okay, you need to refresh. There's a rescan button here. Rescan button here. Yeah, rescan everything. Press OK. And then go to storage devices. Oh, now it shows up here. MSFT, 2 MSFTs, 2 LUNs are added here as well. So the first hypervisor sees the 2 extra disks or LUNs coming from the vCenter, from the software SAN that is also happen to be on the same machine that has the vCenter. Otherwise, normally it's a separate machine. And this hypervisor sees the 2 LUNs coming from this machine, and this hypervisor sees, which is actually where they are on the second hypervisor, also sees the 2 LUNs that are connecting from this machine, right? So here, now these are the steps to connect to SAN. What we need to do here is, if I go to the first machine, I need to be on the storage devices. So LUNs added to hypervisor or EsxiAdded is the first screenshot number 8. So screenshot 8, LUNs added to EsxiAdded, and screenshot number 9 would be LUNs added to EsxiAdded. My dot 3 has the 5, but my dot 2 has, my dot 2 doesn't. Okay, I went over and redid it, still nothing. Redid what? Oh, this from the hypervisor side. Hopefully you're, yeah, why would it, give it a little time, refresh, but why would one work and other would not work? Okay, let me just write that and then let's talk about it. Screenshot 9 is LUNs added to EsxiAdded. Well, I didn't take a screenshot of that yet, and I'm going to go to 2. I'm going to be on the storage devices here, and I'll take a screenshot of that. So edit the target. Yeah, if it works for 1, it should work for 2. I went over and redid it. So if we go back, so yeah, the 2 screenshots are there, guys, on the vCenter or the OneNote. Now, Spencer, you were saying on the first one, I'm going to go to the first one, and in the adapters, when you go there, if you go in the adapters and go way down, scroll down to this, so do you see vMHBA33? And then if you see that, you click the targets. In the targets, just check that what is the IP there. I'm sure it is already correct information. We're just double checking that. 200.1 should be the IP there, and once that is there, then rescan, and storage devices should have that. No, obviously that's a very simple step. Is your EsxiAdded machine, go to the EsxiAdded machine itself on their direct console user interface or DCUI. Is that the correct IP there on that machine? Is that machine on? Is the name correct? Although it's the IP. So IP here is also correct. Are you able to ping that machine from your first server? If you're not able to ping, yeah, this will not happen as well. You're able to. So, and also double check your firewall. So it's all connectivity. And the one he says, was that the last of what we are doing? Yes, the one that's the last. If you're done with that, now you need to upload on O5 these, because that's credible. And just you have till Sunday night to do that. I'm gonna stop the video here.